tuning in to the Supernova Tosha Show podcast, the show that addresses social issues and how it affects our community. And today's show, we are going to be discussing the culture of the barbering world. Barbershops are establishments where individuals can receive various grooming services for their hair, beards, and sometimes other facial hair. These services typically include haircuts, styling, shaving, and beard trims. Barbershops often have trained professionals called barbers who specialize in these services and use various tools such as scissors, clippers, razors, all these tools to achieve desired styles. Additionally, barbershops can serve as social hubs where people gather to engage in conversations and build a sense of community. It's kind of like, when you walk into that old show called Cheers, where you walk into the bar and everybody goes, Norm, or, hey, Sammy, everybody calls your name. So anyway, I just want to show you, this is first clip of my first experience, TV experience that is, of being in a barbershop. So go ahead and roll that first video.
Hey, what's up, brother? You a little late for the Christmas pageant.
I'm King Joffrey Joffer, ruler of Zamunda.
Yeah, well, have a seat. Chair number 2 be ready in a second.
This is beautiful. What is that, velvet?
I have come for my son Akeem.
Come for who?
You know, Kunta from up Kunta.
Oh, yeah, the boy upstairs.
Oh, yeah, him. He around here someplace. He live upstairs on the 5th floor. Hey, who gonna clean up all these flowers?
That has got to be one of my favorite movies. And I saw the second part. I know it took them years to make it, but my goodness, I think this one was the funniest. And I love all the characters that Eddie Murphy played in Coming to America. Anyway, the famous stripe pole, that's the barber's pole. It's a traditional sign used by barbers to indicate that that's their place of business. So it's called a barber's pole, and it consists of a staff or a pole with a spiral pattern of colored stripes, typically red and white. And that's in many countries, but it's red, white, and blue in Japan and also in the United States. The pole may be stationary or sometimes it's rotating, and it's often powered by an electrical motor. The term barber pole is also used metaphorically to describe objects in various contexts. For instance, if a lighthouse shaft or tower is painted with a helical stripe as a day mark, it's also referred to as being painted in barber pole colors, just like the famous barber pole. Now, if you're looking to dye your hair, trim your hair, shape, or shave your beard, visiting a barbershop can be highly beneficial. Male barbers can better understand your needs and provide personalized care for your beard maintenance in the long term. They possess expertise in grooming and can determine the most suitable beard look for you based on their knowledge and their experience. Unlike a salon employee, barbers receive specialized training in cutting, trimming, and grooming beard hair. They're well versed in various male hair types and beard styles, enabling them to offer comprehensive advice and guidance on style selection and maintenance. By considering factors such as your hair type and your face shape, barbers can provide tailored grooming tips and address any inquiries that you may have. Barbershops are specifically designed with men in mind, aiming to create an atmosphere where men can comfortably sit down and can relax and just enjoy their experience and have guy talk, I guess. So each barbershop has its own unique approach. So it's advisable to explore multiple barbershops in your vicinity to find the one that suits you best. Now, some may display sports memorabilia on their walls, while others may have a more minimalistic aesthetic. Regardless of the specific environment, one thing is certain: barbershops are intentionally designed to exclude a distinctively masculine ambiance. Now, I'll talk a little bit about my experience in being in that masculine environment, that masculine ambiance. So, upon my visit to a barbershop, I quickly noticed that it deviated from the typical hair salon experience. It stood out significantly from other establishments that I had, frequently visited before, as far as getting my hairstyle. So it became evident that this was not merely a place for haircuts. It seemed like a social hub where individuals gathered and interacted. So I had made the decision to cut my hair by myself after a barber that I had known had refused to cut my hair. And the reason why he refused to cut my hair, because I had a relaxer and a chemical relaxer, and I had like shoulder length hair, and for a while I've had a chemical relaxer since I was a child, and so having shoulder length hair, a lot of barbers don't like to cut women's hair like the big chop. That's why a lot of women do it at home, because barbers say that women get emotional, they cry, they break down, and of course they just don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to handle it. Um, so my barber decided, this a friend of mine decided that, no, I'm not cutting your hair. I am not cutting your hair. So I made the decision to cut my hair by myself after he had refused to cut my hair. So I noticed that my hair was uneven, and I didn't really think much about it. I was like, it's not really that much noticeable. I'll, get it. I'll get him to fix it or what have you. So I was actually at a networking event, and people started commenting. They were like, do you know that your hair is uneven? It's a nice cut, it fits you, but your hair is like really uneven. I was like, well, I know, but is it that noticeable? And they were like, yes, it's very noticeable. And I picked up the phone and I called and I said, listen, you have a hair emergency right now, because I'm out in public. I cut my hair myself because you refused to cut it, and my hair is uneven, and I'm getting comments. People are commenting on how terrible it looks because it's uneven. And he was like, oh my God, what have you done? And so, yeah. So I noticed that my hair was uneven, and I received comments about it at this networking event. So I reached out to the barber to address the issue. He told me to come straight away, come over. So I went to the barber shop to have my hair professionally corrected, evenly cut, and styled to my liking. So, despite initially, expecting to feel uncomfortable in what I perceived as a masculine environment, I was pleasantly surprised upon entering the barbershop. The atmosphere reminded me again of that TV show. It was that welcoming, where everybody greeted you. It was warm. It was loud. Definitely was loud. And each barber had their own unique way of greeting you, whether it was like the head nod, or they a smile, or a fist bump with their free hand, or just a simple hey, what's up, or something very masculine. So this created a sense of community and camaraderie for me. The barbers engaged in storytelling, they exchanged jokes, and they took turns in playing their playlist, creating a lively and enjoyable experience. So I kind of want to show you another clip from Coming to America. Great movie. I love the original. This is the second clip of, just them men hanging out, being men, and telling jokes. So go ahead and roll this second clip.
Wait a minute, wait, stop right there. Listen, stop right there a minute. Man goes into a restaurant. You listening? A man goes into a restaurant. He sits down. He's having a bowl of soup. He says to the waiter, come, taste the soup. Waiter says, is there something wrong with the soup? He says, taste the soup. He says, there's something wrong with the soup. Is the soup too hot? He says, will you taste the soup? What's wrong? Is the soup too cold? Will you just taste the soup? All right, I'll taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha. Aha. What do you know from funny, you bastard?
Ha ha. Ha ha. So, the barbershop experience, I mean, I cannot explain it. It's just something that you have to just walk in and just experience for yourself. It's an individualized experience, but I can say it's fun, it's lively. Um, Men are just at ease. They know their barber, and they're very, very committed to their barbers. Like it's an emotional thing, and yeah, I don't want that experience anymore because it's worse than having your stylist at your salon. Like men tend to get very petty when it comes to their barbers. So yeah, finding a skilled and reliable barber can be a challenging task. However, once you discover a barber who consistently meets your expectations, it becomes difficult to let go of their services. A man's haircut plays a crucial role in his overall appearance, and having a well maintained hair can significantly boost his confidence. This is why many men develop a strong sense of loyalty towards their barbers. The relationship between a man and his barber goes beyond just a haircut. It is built on trust, consistency, and the ability to deliver the desired results. So I remember one morning, this is another experience of mine. I remember one morning, the barber had informed me that his day was going to be busy and suggested that I arrived at 6:30 a.m. I needed a haircut. And so he told me, hey, can you get here at like 6:30 in the morning? I said, yeah, no problem. So this arrangement had suited me well because I needed to catch a flight and I wanted to look presentable. When I arrived at the barber shop, the barber mentioned that I was not the first customer. I was trying to be the first customer because, again, I had a flight to catch. So however, I clarified that I was indeed the first appointment. I was the first customer. I don't see anyone else. And the barber shared an amusing anecdote about another client who had been coming to the shop for 15 years and sometimes arrives as early as 5 a.m. in the morning. He's like, this client would sleep in his van and wait until the barber arrived and woke him up. Understanding the situation, I requested to be the first serve before waking up that early, the early bird client, as I prefer to avoid any potential conflict with someone who consistently arrived at a shop at 5 a.m. for 15 years. So basically, he told me, look outside the window. So when I looked outside the window, I saw that there was a van. I did pull up next to the van, but I just thought that the van was there parked overnight and didn't think anything of it. And he was like, that guy has been my customer for 15 years. And he sometimes arrives at 5 o'clock and he'll sleep until I get here. And then I just call him or I go knock on the window, wake him up, and he would come in. But he's normally the first customer. And this person, that client, literally would be there till like at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, 6 a.m. So he did beat me there. But because he was sleeping, I went first. So, and the purpose of me sharing this story is to highlight the difference in behavior between men and women when it comes to, granting intimate access. It serves as an illustration of the perceived pettiness exhibited by men in comparison to women in this context. And when I tell you, when it comes to men and their barbers, they get petty. The loyalty of men towards their barbers can be attributed to the difficulty in finding a skilled barber who meets their requirements and their expectations. A good barber plays a significant role in enhancing one's appearance and boosting confidence. This is particularly important in situations such as job interviews, where a clean and trustworthy look can make a positive impression on employers. Now, once a man finds a barber who consistently delivers the desired haircut, it becomes challenging to consider switching to another barber. The fear of not being able to replicate the same quality of haircut elsewhere often discourages men from exploring other options. And I've seen men actually just try to cut their hair themselves, which sometimes it turns out as a disaster. They'll just do a complete bald cut, especially if their barber like decides to relocate out of state to another county. I've seen male friends of mine just absolutely heartbroken and devastated because of this move. So this it's quite an interesting experience to see what the role of a barber and barbershops play in a man's life. So now, what type of person becomes a barber? Well, the career path of being a barber attracts individuals who possess certain qualities and certain interests. Some good reasons to choose this profession include the opportunity to meet new people and become a recognized figure in the community. And trust me, once you're a barber and you're good, you have a great reputation, you're very popular, like everybody knows you by even your first name, your first initial. All you have to say is so and so on this street. Oh yeah, I know that shop. I know that's the guy. Come to find out, when I went to that barbershop that I went to, my coworkers went there. My my best friend, I didn't even know that's where he got his haircut. But my best friend, one of my best friends, ended up telling me, he's like, "That's where you get your haircut." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I've been going there for years." I was like, "What?" So that was like it. That was interesting to find out. So you do become a recognized figure in the community. The practical and hands-on education required typically involves a high school diploma. Being a barber allows for making creative decisions on the job, as well as the satisfaction of being a profession that is consistently in demand. Can you guys think back of like when COVID happened and we had that lockdown, like 2020, it was a disaster. I That was a time in my life that I still can't grasp that I lived through COVID-19. But like it was so difficult on the fellas, and the barbershops, like people were getting fined for opening up illegally, and then they started being creative. They had to take their barber chairs on the outside, and they were cutting hair on the outside. Some of them were going mobile, and like they would space it out because you had to be 6 feet apart. They were cutting hair on the outside. And if you live in a hot state, that could be grueling. But yeah, you're constantly in demand as a barber, and when you're locked in and you are confined to just your house, at least if you look good, you would feel good, right? So yeah, it's quite a profession to get into. It's important for barbers to have an interest in personal grooming, that they enjoy interacting with others, and they possess a great personality. Barbers, they're creative professionals who approach problems in unique ways, as they are responsible for providing unique and individual haircuts tailored to each client's hair texture, face shape, facial hair, and personal style. In the event that the first barbershop experience does not work out, barbers have the flexibility to relocate and find opportunities in different locations, as the demand for their services exists everywhere, whether it's in the city or in the suburbs. Ultimately, the artistic eye of a barber can greatly impact a person's appearance and positively influence their life. So, yeah, If you're a people person, you want to make a lot of money, you want to, you know, meet interesting people, and then you get to hear like all these stories and interesting things about people's lives. Barbershops, as we know, make a lot of cheddar. They make a lot of dead presidents. They make a lot of dinero on a daily basis. A lone barber in one day can make up to 3 stacks in a day. Well, that's my Urban Dictionary for saying $3,000 in a day. But you know, there's no doubt that you can make 6 figures as a barber to potentially own your own brick and mortar barbershop. So with knowing this, sometimes evil lurks in the vicinity of barbershops, and those with ill intent, laziness, or corrupt hearts target barbershops. In this day and age, with cameras and more sophisticated crime solving capabilities, it's less frequent as you know it were in the yesteryears. So the same barber I know, before he moved to this new location, right? So I've known him for like 20 years. And he had a friend, let's call the friend Todd. That's not his real name, but let's just say Todd. So I met Todd once. He was this guy, a kid from New York. He had just migrated from New York to Florida. And you know, he, you know, was kind of like, you know, the man about town, the cool guy, what have you. So he told me a story about Todd, who, you know, was a hero for the day. He was not in the shop at that day, but Todd had arrived about an hour earlier waiting on my barber. And so Todd is his client and his friend, and he went into the shop and he was waiting to, you know, for the barber to arrive to get his haircut. So this guy, he enters the shop, right? So he comes into the shop, and, you know, as soon as he enters the shop, he's like looking around, and he pulls out a gun, pulls out his weapon, and he starts demanding and asking people for money and give me your wallets, give me your watches, give me all your valuables. And he's demanding all this stuff. So Todd, I don't know who he used to hang out with, who his parents are, who created him, or what happened, or what situations he's been in. But Todd gets up, rushes the guy, sticks his finger into the barrel he sticks his index finger into the barrel of the gun. So now you can tell that this guy knew what he was doing. He obviously, you know, was familiar with weapons. Guns specifically. And by doing so, you know, you can bulge the barrel of the gun, and, you know, you make the gun useless at this point, or you can just like blow the gun apart. So I don't know if that was his intent, but he jammed his index finger in the barrel of the gun, and they said that was like a really low explosive sound, and he was able to grab the gun because when the guy pulled the trigger, it had a low explosive, but when he was able to pull the gun from him, and he started fighting the guy who was sticking up the shop. And the other barbers, seeing that, okay, the gun didn't go off, they all jumped on top of this guy, and they started kicking him and stomping him. And the potential robber, they held him until the police arrived. So um, yeah, let's give it up for Todd. Let's give it up for him. So in the words of Chuck D from Public Enemy, most of my heroes don't appear on no stamp. Yeah, boy. So that's Flavor Flav. Love Public Enemy. So anyway, the hero of this story, he lost the tip of his index finger, but you know what? He was left with his life. And not only that, he saved the life of other patrons and staff. And now he has an awesome story to tell his grandkids, his kids, his grandkids. And gosh, I still remember that story till this day. I met him once before the barbershop incident. And you know, shout out to him wherever he is. So I just wanted to play this video, just kind of depicting, you know, what the barbershop means to the community, how people respond, things that happen around a barbershop, that whole culture, the whole lifestyle. So we're going to go ahead and roll that that video footage. So when you pass by the neighborhood barbershop, you kind of get a feel of what happens in that environment. Let's go ahead and roll that video.
I did something wrong. What? There's a bunch of them gangster disciples down there on the corner with their pants hanging all around their ankles. And I told them how they was a bunch of conjugal business going bad. And they come down here. They coming after me, Calvin. I need a strap.
Strap?
I need a heat. Where's the heater?
Ain't no heat in here, man.
The gun, the gun.
It ain't no gun in this shop.
So we ain't got no gun? They about to come in here with AKs and 47s and Desert Eagles and we ain't got nothing. Which Hazel?
Eddie, are you serious? Because I don't see nobody.
Here they come. Come on.
What?
Come on. Come on, Calvin. Come on. Oh, man. What we gonna do? You know what? I talk my way into this. Maybe I can talk my way out of it.
Man, we can go out the back. Let's just go out the back.
I can't run, Calvin. I'm old.
Let's go.
I'm just gonna talk to them. The young boys, and I'm gonna talk to them.
Listen, you're not going out there. Let me get something. Just wait.
Calvin, let's be reasonable. Everybody just calm down. Let me just talk to you. Everybody take cool head. I'm sorry. Just give me what I deserve.
Leave that man alone. Black Lives Matter. He's off the crap.
Pedro, Feliz Navidad.
Stupid.
What's up, G? What size is them Jordans? They my size. That's what size they are.
Oh, you think you got heart, huh? Well, guess what, little nigga? Hearts ain't bulletproof.
Hey, why don't y'all just keep it moving? Y'all like your neighborhood anyway.
Nigga, what you talking about? Y'all know our crew run this whole neighborhood.
We run this whole shit. Hey, yo, shorty, run them kicks.
Man, y'all niggas ain't shit. Yeah, I said it. Nigga, this our block. You know that? Unless you really want to do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, keep it pushing. Out of here, man.
So yeah, you know what? And there's a new not really new, but there is an uptick on women that are holding it down, in the barbershops. And I knew of one girl who, well, I shouldn't say girl, lady, but she started out as a barber, and she ended up, she's married to a police officer, and she ended up owning her own brick and mortar. I think she even opened up several barbershops. One of my old hairstylists, she had a salon and also a barbershop. And she even branched out, and I think had her son in the islands open one as well. So it's very lucrative. And shout out to the ladies who are, doing their thing, holding their own in such a male-dominated career. It's crucial to keep in mind that gender does not dictate one's proficiency in the industry. The barber profession welcomes individuals of any gender who possess the passion and the commitment to achieve success. A female barber who specializes in men's grooming is sometimes referred to as a barberette, although this term is not widely used, but I like it. It's very, I don't know, I like it. But most female barbers prefer to be called barbers regardless of their gender. Over the past decades, there has been a growing demand for female barbers, and many women now work in traditionally male-dominated barbershops. These female barbers have made a significant impact on the industry, offering a distinct perspective and catering to an expanding customer base of women who prefer a barbershop for their grooming requirements, especially if you're going through changes and you decide to cut your hair yourself and it's lopsided and uneven. So there's a great transformation of the barbershop. The mirrors, the barbershop mirrors the shifting values and requirements of society. Initially, yes, it serves as a hub for social interaction and connection. It later became a symbol of masculinity, and now it has evolved into inclusive and diverse environment. So I really like that for barbershops. The barbershops hold significant importance in both our past and our future, representing an integral part of our history.